We recording? Yes. All right. Welcome to the underside with me. Let me get over there with you. We're getting to the meat and potatoes of this job, that's for sure. All right, so the engine was already in the right position. So what I did was I already marked these two connecting rod end caps, 2 and 3, and I put a little arrow here pointed toward the cam, and we're just going to take these off. And those bearings look real good. Yes, I already loosened these, obviously. And these just come right off. There we go. Oh, that one, the bearing came out, darn it. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to clean that up real good. I'm working above a sort of sea of oil dry, so I'm gonna try not to drop anything in the oil dry, but I'm gonna push these pistons up. And then I have, there goes the bearing half. And that was on 2, so let me put this with 2's bearing. I try to keep the bearings and the bearing halves all together. Which one of these is 2 and which one is 3? That one's 3, this other one's 2. Okay. So I also have, so you can see the pistons are free. So what I'm going to do here, I have this piece of brass. It's 1/2-inch brass, solid round. And I'm just going to take this and sort of poke it up underneath and poke those pistons up. And sometimes they get a little hung up. You got to get a little bit creative with placement. That piston is out. And that piston is out. So let's go up top and see. All right, there they are. Here is piston number 2. We'll just set this right here. Those rings look real good. Nothing broken. Here's piston number 3. We'll set this right here also. Again, pins, rings all look real good. So now what we're going to do is rotate the engine around and do the same thing to the other 2. I need to adjust my grip on my pliers here. There goes my furnace again. If you're fighting compression, this usually doesn't work very well. But if you're just, just turning the engine, this usually works okay. Trying to get the right vantage point here. Whoops. There we go. aren't quite out yet. Just stuff dripping on my head. That one's out. Let me get a light up here. Ooh, that bearing's had a little bit of wear on number 4. We'll pull that one out in just a second. Okay, now let's go up top. Here's one. Let's see, I'm going to rearrange these pistons here. One's rings look real good. Pistons all look real good so far. Here's 4. 4 also looks pretty darn good. All right, pistons are looking okay. We'll look those over a little bit later. Right now, we're down to it. Here we go. This is the fun part. So what we have now are the sleeves. The sleeves need to come out. So, according to my calculations, there is still at least a half gallon of coolant in that engine. And as soon as I push that sleeve out, that half gallon is going to come down on my face. So we're going to start with this one. I did hit these with some penetrating oil to try to get in, try to loosen them up here, make it a little bit easier. So there are special tools you can buy that sit on top of the engine block, and they have a little threaded thing that goes in there, and you can pull the sleeve out that way. I don't have one of those. What I do have is this piece of brass. This has come in real handy. Anyway, I'm going to tap this out from underneath. Excuse me. We're going to start with this one, and we'll see how it goes. I'm actually wearing a face mask, a full face shield, because I think there's still quite a bit of coolant in that block, and I don't want to eat any. So I'm going to kind of protect myself a little bit. I'm even going to go so far as to put this little microphone, set it on top of the tractor here, because I don't want that to get doused, because I did this once where, boy, I really took a face full of it. So, I think it's moving already. I believe I have some movement. Oof. Trying real hard to go easy. Not rough it up too bad. Okay, it's about to come. Here comes the antifreeze. No antifreeze yet. Oh, it's ready to come out of there, isn't it? Yeah, it's loose. There it comes. No antifreeze at all. All right. Let's get a look at this. I'm just clearing some space here. All right. Come on over here. Let's get you turned around this way. All right, there's the sleeve. I'm going to take a little paper towel here and clean it up. Got to find this. So this is one of the seals. There's a total of 4, I want to say. 3 that live in the block and connect to the, seal against here, and then this square one that seals on the bottom, on this ridge right here. Let's go take over the other bench. A little bit more stable. Make a little room here. All right, just cleaning this off. Oh, I see it. I'm going to clean it up and show you. That's the hole. All right. This is such a small hole, it's very hard to see. But this is definitely cavitation, definitely from using the wrong kind of coolant. This is not the worst case I've seen, but this is definitely it. All right, so set this up so I can show you. The cavitation right here. You see that? There's a line of holes. There's even some more starting to happen up here. And looks like that's about it. This is where the leak is coming from. The coolant was going right through to the inside, right there. Now the hole that is made by the cavitation is tiny. You can see a light through it. You see that? I'm moving the light in there. That light, this light, is shining right through the cylinder liner. And that's a good 1/4 inch of cast iron. But that's cavitation. That's what happens. And what actually happens during cavitation is when the wrong kind of coolant is used. All right, I was interrupted there by a phone call, but I forgot what I was saying. So cavitation happens when coolant that's on this side of the cylinder sleeve doesn't move with the cylinder sleeve. So bear with me here. So what happens as a piston is moving up and down, the cylinder sleeve is growing and shrinking, okay, just by a little bit. This is a greatly exaggerated movement here. We're talking about microscopic growth and shrinking with the normal internal forces of the engine. Now, when that shrinking happens, it happens so suddenly and so quickly that the fluid that's right here, has to move with it. It has to contract rather, with it. And ethylene glycol, regular automotive type coolant, can't move fast enough. So what happens is, over time, as the cylinder expands and shrinks, it shrinks so fast that it actually creates a vacuum in between the fluid and the side of the cylinder sleeve. And you do that enough times, over enough time, and the vacuum actually will pull a tiny piece of material, a tiny piece of steel will come off with it. And you continue that over years and decades, and it'll actually bore a hole right through. And that's exactly what happened. When I see cavitation, I often see it down here toward the bottom. I'm not really sure why, but that's what happened. And this cylinder is now trashed. This sleeve is now trashed because there is a hole that goes right on through. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and pull the other 3 and have a close look. And if we don't see deep marks, deep holes like this, then we'll probably reuse them. But I think even this is too deep. I mean, obviously, this hole right here is obviously gone through, but even these might be a little too much to reuse. So anyway, that is cavitation. That's what happens to these cylinders when that happens. So it kind of sucks for me because I got to buy new sleeves, but I think that is really fascinating of what's actually happening. Okay, stay tuned. All right. So I think we're going to call it quits for the day. I got cylinder 1 to move a little bit, but it's pretty stubborn. So I'm going to let that soak in some penetrating oil and come back for it later. But look at the damage on the other cylinders. That's 4. We talked about that already. Here's 3. You see all those holes right there? That's cavitation. Can you see that? That's what happens. So they're just like little holes. They're drilled into the side of the cylinder. Same thing with 2. 2's not so bad. 2's case is okay, but it's definitely very thin right here. You can see a good hole right there, and there's definitely a bunch of other little holes right here. So anyway, these cylinders are definitely done. And I'm sure number 1 is too. Oh, by the way, the pistons look perfect. They really do. Not quite perfect, but they look really, really good. Like here's one, for instance. I mean, this piston still has the machining marks on it. A little bit of scuffing down there. Slight scoring up on top. But you see the black stuff kind of ends with the top ring. This thing had no blow-by. And the wear patterns, this is normal. This copper that you're seeing here is right in line with the connecting rod. That's normal. That's where the forces are the highest, where the piston is pushing the hardest. Same thing with 2. I mean, these pistons look like they're new, except for the fact that I know that they're not. Anyway, so all the bearings are good. I mean, they're going to get replaced. There's a little bit, you can see a little bit of copper just coming through here. This one looks like it had a piece of crap that was stuck in there when it was put together. It's got a little scoring here, similar scoring over here. But we're going to replace those bearings, and we're certainly going to replace the cylinders and rings and pistons and stuff. The head looks perfectly fine. I'm going to be cleaning that off and checking it for warp, but all that looks just perfectly fine. And now with the head off, that makes this easier to fix. This definitely is a water passage. Water comes here, and you can see a plug right here, like this whole thing was drilled out. And that's definitely a water passage. I do wonder how thick that material is, though. I do wonder if this wouldn't be a candidate for stitching pins. Not sure how I'm going to find that out. Anyway, definitely repairable, and we're definitely going to repair it. But that's it for today. So I think we put in a pretty good day. It's about 3 o'clock. It's time to do some invoices and get home pretty soon. Thanks for watching. Take care.